Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. And in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind successful startups, challenges that they've faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future expansion. Today, we have Mr. Jordan Benjamin joining us of My Core OS. Jordan will be sharing more about his founding story and giving us a glimpse into plans for the future. So, let's jump right in, sir. Welcome to Founders Future. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Excited to get you here. My Core OS is a wonderfully curiosity-inducing brand name, but for the people who don't know what it is, paint us the picture of what is this entity, who do you help, and how do you help them?
Yeah, so I work mainly with sellers. That's where my background was. So I work with sellers and sales teams, helping them build their own personal operating system so they can crush their numbers, overachieve on their goals, and do it without burning out.
Yeah. There must be a history to this thing. Tell the tale of how this whole thing came to be. So the spark moment, I have this idea that I need to share with the world in the form of a business concept. What was going on for you? And give us the quick journey how to get here.
Yeah, I think for me, it started after getting laid off twice within 6 months from early stage startups.
Mm.
Went in to join HubSpot pre-IPO, only 700 people, although it was the biggest company I'd worked for, and was really on this path of self-learning and development, really working to learn more about myself to figure out how could I perform at my best. Because the spark for me was realizing that all the things that I needed to build a great life were not taught to me in school. None of it. And so I went on this journey for myself and realized that my friends that had folks struggling with emotional, mental health issues, struggling to perform or hitting number one, being the top rep in the entire company, and then sitting there and, well, like, now what? Like, where's fulfillment after achieving the best, highest possible goal you could? And I realized that nobody else had these tools as well. So I started building programs internally at HubSpot, running courses, trainings, and then started to branch out and run that with other organizations and do a lot of one-on-one work with folks as well to really give them these tools that I found for myself, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of hours that, again, none of us had really been trained on. So that's really kind of where it started for me.
So you had a little bit of a runway in the form of still being in your current role while building this in the background. Where was the break free moment?
The break free moment was after my wife and I got married and decided to travel South America in a truck and say,
Fair enough.
all right, you know what? After 9 years at HubSpot, we went from 600 or 700 people when I started to about 6 or 7 thousand when I left. Much different company, and just realized that, like, my mission is really so aligned to, one, getting out traveling and exploring to live my life
Yep.
that has a bunch of stories behind it, but ultimately got us out to go live. And then saying, okay, this is where I've got to support myself through this business, and have really pushed really hard on it full time over the last year or so.
We're all in now. Talk to the early day of being a startup without the financial backing of having a full-time role. What were some of the challenges that you faced? What did you do to navigate those waters?
What I did to navigate them was kept showing up. It was just a matter of the discipline and consistency to keep showing up, because imposter syndrome doesn't really ever go away, I think, for anybody. You look at even the best and top performers in sport, in music, in business, even, and they all say, I don't know if this next thing's going to work. And so for me, one, it was really a matter of getting over that imposter syndrome and saying, you know what, the only time that imposter syndrome will go away is when I've gotten to perfect, which never exists. But you have to take that first step. So for me, it was really about, how do I break it down into the smallest first step that I can take to start building my more refined program, to start marketing, to start being the financial CFO of my business as well. And so for me, it was a lot about, how do I take tiny steps forward? How do I keep showing up? Because 95% of people will just quit along the way.
Yep.
And it's about showing up and really working to say, how do I continuously improve? For me, that's where the imposter syndrome says, oh, great, I'm growing. I'm getting to a point of learning and ability to build and do something new. That for me, I really reframed that to be much more of an opportunity and a good sign of growth, opposed
Ah,
to not being good enough and never being able to get there.
yep. different lens to see this thing. Now, you mentioned travel being important to you. I want to pick your brain on the concept of work-life balance as you build a business like this, because I think not the myth, but the dream is to have this autonomous or as close to autonomous business and provide the life that you want to live. And then people open up their own businesses and find themselves working 60, 70, 80 hours, and they are the CFO and CMO and head of CRO, whatever it happens to be. What's helped you maintain those boundaries as you've gotten this thing off the ground?
Yeah, for me, it's sticking pretty religiously to the things that I do to fill me up, whether it's meditation, journaling, taking the dog for a walk, exercise, like really making sure that I stick to those things pretty consistently. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But those are some of the foundational things that I found for me really help drive performance. The other side of it is this incredible opportunity to work remote. So for me, historically, and even over the years, it's great. I want to be able to go sit on the beach today. So I'm going to figure out what are my most important key tasks that I've got to consistently take care of, whether that's prospecting, lead generation, whether that's client delivery, or whether that's content creation, are really three big buckets for me, and saying, great, these are the three things I know I need to do. So I'm going to carve out 2 or 3 hours a day, even when I'm traveling, to say, yeah, here's when I get this work done. These are my most important activities that drive the most results. And say, cool, now I'm going to be able to go do those, get that done. Or today, I'm putting a bunch of work in advance. So I have a little bit more free time going into the next few weeks when I'm traveling again.
Yeah. I think people from the outside looking in probably only see the beach and the travel, and they don't see the hours and hours put into making that come to reality. What are some other misconceptions you think people have when it to being an entrepreneur if they haven't quite been in that role yet?
Yeah, I get so many people that say, oh, I want to do exactly what you do, because they see the highlight
No, you
reels.
don't.
That's what I tell them. I'm like, hey, you know what? You got a pretty good thing right there. And I have not gotten back to earning the same stock options and equity and income that I was. And I'm probably working quite a bit harder.
Yeah.
But even beyond work life balance is more of this like alignment or harmony between them, to say, how do I really feel that I'm aligned with my purpose and mission? Where I just had somebody reach out to me the other day trying to offer me a job. And it's like, where I'm at right now, I'd be happy making half of what I used to be, because I feel aligned to the purpose and mission that I'm working on. And so that's the beautiful part of it. But they don't see these struggles. I don't know if this is good enough. Is this actually going to work? That fear, that uncertainty, that doubt
Mm.
that reigns so, so true. Trying to figure out, I was talking to a good friend who's a business owner the other day, and he's like, yeah, I'm waiting on $65,000 of client payments right now. I've got to figure out how to pay my staff. And
Scary.
like, that's what feeds my family. And so there's so much more ownership that you have to have as an entrepreneur that is hard. We talk about mental health being a struggle for folks in sales or any other profession. Entrepreneurs, you're at it alone in many cases. There's nobody there to go to, nobody to bail you out. And so that one for me is where I've connected with a group of other entrepreneurs and folks that are on a similar journey, which has really helped to have that mastermind and community, because it can be really, really lonely as a
Yeah.
solopreneur, especially.
Without a doubt, that's so much of the reason that we created this show, in fact, was to show people that they weren't alone in these thoughts and these fears. It's a scary thing.
It
And without the backing of that every 2 week paycheck, it all goes to you. Now, you've been building this thing for the better part of a decade, but on your own for the better part of a year. What does this look like in 2025? Here we are at the end of 2024. What's top priority for you as you look to year two on your own?
Yeah, 25 is really systematizing a bunch more of what I've been doing. So a lot of my work has been one-on-one, very manual. And so it's working to build more online training that's more systematized, easier for folks to take on at their own pace, a bit more asynchronously. And then the other big objective is continued growth, continuing to stay on the same path. The amount of folks that I talk to that, again, quit before they get right to that precipice, right when they're at the edge. It's so easy to think that your success is so far away. But I've had my busiest month ever this year, coming to the end of the year, and that's really where, again, folks don't see it. But the path to overnight success is consistent work over the long run.
Mm.
We sit here, you look on social media, you look online, and it's so easy to think that, oh, they just hit it big. They hit one viral social media post that did everything for them, or they landed the one big contract. And you don't see those hours, days, weeks, and years of work that are put in to get folks to that point. So for me, it's really about consistency and discipline and sticking to the path because I'm seeing success. I'm seeing clients with great results. It's just a matter of saying, how do I make sure I keep showing up?
Yeah, I love that. Now, getting towards the end of our time, but I have a couple more questions here for you, Jordan. As you zoom out on this whole thing and remove my core OS from the whole thing, as you see sales as an industry, you've spent so much time in this space. You've been in person, you've been remote. Where does sales go from here? What are some of the trends that you're seeing, and what are some maybe advantages somebody could utilize if they were looking to make a career in sales moving forward?
Yeah, the thing that I'm most excited about, big part of my mission is how do we elevate the sales profession? How do we get away from this slimy used car salesman? You've probably seen the word clouds when you ask somebody like, "Oh, what do you think of when it comes to sales?" And it's like slimy, shady, all these really nasty
Yeah.
words that
Trickster. Yeah.
yeah, all this stuff that is just crappy to think about as a profession. And really what I'm seeing more and more of is folks actually treating sales as a profession, not just a job, but something to be a professional at. Where, yeah, like a professional athlete, they watch film, they have coaches, they are doing ongoing learning and development and training, and
Right.
really thinking about how do you become a professional with your career, whether it's sales, owning a business, whatever it is, but how do you really treat it as a professional? And so I see sales really moving in that direction. The other thing that I've been sharing a lot about lately that has me excited is more and more folks are realizing sales is not about you as the seller. It's about how do you help someone else solve a problem. And I don't know if any product is actually need to have. It's like, I have a house. I love my house, but I just lived in a truck for 18 months. So is a house even a need to have? And a lot of sellers really get stuck on this. Oh, my product's a nice to have. How do you make sure that this is something that really helps solve somebody's problem? Because not only does that help you create a more empowering narrative for what you're doing, it's something that helps you sustain your energy so much more when your focus moves away from just being about me and my quota. All your prospects know when you've got commission breath, when you're
Of course.
trying to force a sale down their throat. But when you can actually show up and be like, hey, how can I help you here? Keeps you curious, keeps you engaged, and keeps you focused on a much bigger picture than just myself and what I care about or what my manager cares about. And so to me, I think that's really where I see sales and folks becoming to say, how do I treat this as much more of a profession that I want to be a master at? And then the second piece is really how do I move this to be much more about helping other people, which makes sales to me one of the best professions out there because most of the time we are not curing cancer. But I ran a fundraiser in November, growing out a crazy handlebar mustache from November. And great, guess what? Now all of a sudden I can go raise a couple $1,000s and donate some money to actually work to cure cancer or take my
Yep.
knowledge and skills to organizations around, hey, how do we help you as a nonprofit sell or market better and more effectively
Mhm.
because of my sales background and knowledge? And so that's where I believe sales can be one of the most rewarding professions on the planet if you choose to approach it that way.
Yep. It's a perspective shift, that's for sure. It's a me to we turnabout. So tremendous answer. I love that. I couldn't agree more with you, Jordan. The last one here, and this is an interesting one for you because of the journey that you've been on. You're speaking to somebody listening to this podcast. They're in their W-2. They've got a business idea they want to share with the world. How do you push them to take that leap?
One, take a deep breath. Your brain is programmed to go into fear and scarcity. That's how we've stayed alive for tens of thousands of years. When you just take a deep breath, your brain starts to feel safe, and you can actually operate from more of this right side of your brain that's more visionary. And from there, what is the smallest first step you can take? It's so easy to get overwhelmed and think about 10 things down the road of where you need to get to. How do you break that down to the first smallest step and just take that one? And then the next one. Because, yeah, maybe you don't have your entire course curriculum built out. Maybe you don't have an entire product built out. Great. What is that first step you need to take? And how do you just get started there? Because it's simple when you find that first thing, whether it's, somebody thinking about starting a business, great. Buy a website domain. It may be the wrong one. It may not be the one you stick with for the long time. that's okay. If you're thinking about, okay, I've got this product or an idea, go talk to 2 or 3 people about it. Get some feedback. Talk to some folks you trust and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking about building. Would this be valuable? Or how would this help you solve a problem? So it's really simple when you can start to break it down into these tiny actionable steps that allow you to, I think about the whole, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Right. Yep. Yep.
I'm not an elephant. No animals are harmed in this. For me, it's really been easy to get lost in that huge picture, future vision. But I tell people, even more folks are much familiar with HubSpot now. The product sucked even by the time we were ready to go public. Hundreds of employees. The product was nowhere near the level that it is today. And so it's really easy to think, oh, I've got to wait until this thing is perfect before I take action. But
Dangerous.
really, imperfect action is so much better than perfect inaction. So many people get stuck waiting for perfect, and it never comes and never will. So, how do you think about being comfortable with getting uncomfortable and saying, great, I'm just going to take the first step, even though this may not be perfect? Because you can never get to your 100th podcast episode until you've done your first and taken that first step.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Jordan. That is a wonderful place for us to wrap things up. Where can people learn more about MyCoreOS?
mycoreos.com, or hit me up on LinkedIn. That's where I spend all my time posting pretty much every single day, sticking to the consistency there. Find me on LinkedIn, Jordan Benjamin.
Tremendous. Thank you, sir. To everyone who listened today, thank you as well. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we are dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their sales through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.